What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another video on Car Talks 100. Shout out to McGrath Acura of Westmount for lending me the TLX that you see dead in front of you. This particular one is the 2024 TLX Super Handling All-Wheel Drive equipped A-SPEC in Lunar Silver. This color is the one that you don't have to pay extra for, and it does look pretty nice with the black inserts and the shark gray wheels. Let's talk about this car, but before I do that, thank you all very much for being part of this channel and helping me grow. Continue to show the engagement so we can bring, or I can bring, it's the solo channel, I can bring more cars, variety of cars, and reach out to more dealership for better content creation of these automobiles. TLX. Very handsome looking car. There is no doubt, at least in my opinion, there could be doubts, at least in my opinion, that this car has any flaws when it comes to the design of this, making it a mid-size segmented, sporty looking sedan. The TLX comes in a variety of different things you can get in terms of, one, the engine, two, the trim levels. So the engine choice goes like this within the trim level. So let's say if you want to opt for the front wheel drive only, you have three trim levels that you can choose from. The TLX as a trim on its own, then you have the technology, and then you have the A-SPEC. These are all front wheel drives starting at 40,000 and then going up from there. No all-wheel drive offered in the first two models, but then you can also opt for an A-SPEC in all-wheel drive, and then you can also have the advanced package be part of all-wheel drive. So advanced package is not available in, or advanced trim level rather, isn't available in front wheel drive, but is if you go to the all-wheel drive. What is under the hood for these two? It's going to be a 10-speed automatic non-Accord engine, obviously. It does not share that with the Accord, producing at around 272 horsepower. It's going to be it's a 2-liter turbocharged engine there. If you go for the other engine choice, which is going to be a 3.0-liter, 355 horsepower is what it produces, you can opt for the Type S and Type S Performance, which gives you things like, for example, Brembo brakings, obviously a bigger engine, so on and so forth. But this car stickers in somewhere around $50,000 as we speak in terms of what it's equipped with. Now, I personally drive a 2023 Honda Accord Touring. You folks have seen that on my channel. Today, I test drove this. I sat inside, I looked around. As far as styling goes, this one blows the existing Accord out of the park, in my opinion, no questions. But other things, as I'm looking at this, since it's simply like a mid-refresh, if you will, it hasn't been completely redesigned in this year. Excuse me, the refresh will be in 2024, really. But as it stands, this lacks what my Accord, the hated generation of the Accord, which is the 11th, actually has. That includes the technology, that also includes the space on the inside in general. We'll talk about it, we'll see that. However, if you are looking for a mid-size car, you have looked at the Accord, you don't like it, you sure can come take a look at the Acura as well. The difference between the two, the Accord stops at 40,000. This one picks right up, just like how the CR-V and RDX does it too. Obviously, the engine is day and night because this is a 10-speed automatic there, as opposed to being a hybrid, 272 horsepower, as opposed to being a 204 horsepower in the hybrid trims of the Accord. But you have to kind of, compare as to what is important for you versus not. For me, as much as styling looks very rugged, sexy, it's beautiful, I still prefer what I have in my Accord now that I've been able to compare the two. But as individuals, we all might differ, so do your due diligence and then compare the two cars and go pull the trigger. I can promise you the difference out the door in the Touring Accord and out the door in the A-SPEC TLX will roughly be around $11,000 to $12,000, give or take. This one is clicking in at 50,000. You add the taxes and all that, you will be very close to like 54, 55,000, depending on where you live in either the US or Canada. Will obviously have different pricing there. Do your due diligence. It's not just a matter of $3,000 to $4,000 of a difference between the Touring Accord and the TLX if you go for A-SPEC. Now you very well can go with the base model of TLX, but just know if I'm not liking the technology that A-SPEC has, I don't think I will enjoy what the base level has. So going back, I kind of covered my decision based on this too now, that I'm very happy for the most part with what I made the choice. Now, if the 2024 mid-refresh is completely different and super techy, I might consider trading my Accord in. I don't know yet, but so far, after driving this, outside of the driving, which I still like how refined the Accord has gotten, but you know, let's talk more about TLX. I'm sorry I took 5 minutes covering, but the reason I wanted to do that is simply because a lot of folks do compare the TLX versus the Accord, and you can only pay, you know, like 3,000-4,000 of a difference. Should have gotten with the Accord, with the Acura TLX. It's not that easy. So just do your research and then make the choice. As we talk about the front, actually, let's do a 360 that we typically do, and then we'll talk about the front. Riding on 19 inches there. In terms of the wheel size and the tire size, this is a side profile. Silver color looks very poppy. I like it. It is a good looking car. It's a handsome looking car. Here's the back. Just, this is a solid looking designed car. It does look like a sporty sedan. Now, as we do wrap around this, go back to the front and look at what's going on in the front. We have, again, like I say, all Acuras are very similar in terms of how they're designed in the front. Big, small, bigger mouth, smaller mouth, things like that. But you have the solid design here. This one doesn't have the emblem as big where it sits the housing for like the Integra or the MDX or the RDX. It still has that plastic plate in the front, but it blends kind of well, so it's not that bad, but it still is prominent. You have that, you know, diamond pentagon kind of splashing away. A-SPEC gives you the black bezels as opposed to chrome. Your DRLs and your indicators are below the actual headlights as opposed to being top. I feel like this also is now a feature that can denote how new the car is versus not so much, because I've noticed the trend in almost every manufacturer that now the DRLs are sitting above the actual headlights as opposed to below. But that just is my observation. Doesn't mean that it's true. Down below, you have some, I like it how it is in terms of how you've got function vents here, and then you've got the fog lights there in the A-SPEC, and then parking sensors. Everything else is pretty standard. Overall, like I keep saying, it's a handsome looking car, styling wise. Now, as we go around the side, you'll see that there is A-SPEC badging. You'll also see the 19-inch Shark wheels here. The size of the tire is 255/40 R19s. So 19, they are Michelin tires here, Michelin Primacy or something is what it's called. A-SPEC badging. Then you've got the black and contrasted meters. They are power folding, which is nice. And then a very tiny integrated turn signals at this point. This is like, don't do it. Just make it go across. You have it in the RDX, so why can't you do it in the MDX and the TLX? Side profile, good looking. It's a very low sitting car. All 4 door handles will be keyless entry, standard sunroof, so no panoramic, nothing of that kind. Here's the back. You get the decklet spoiler. I like how it just basically sticks up. It looks kind of cool. It's like a lip that comes up here. TLX badging, Acura A-SPEC super handling, all-wheel drive badging there. Your backup camera sits right here in the emblem, so it's nice. I haven't owned a car that has had a backup camera inside the emblem, so I don't know if this gets less grimy than what sticks, you know, by the license plates there, and or my car has a license plate up here, so it still gets dirty. This one does have auto open, but it's the same as what the Accord is, so it's not like it feels any different because you can't shut it automatically. We'll get into that in a bit. Down below, love the exhaust tips. There is exhaust on both sides. Inside that, tucked in, the way this is, I do like how it is. Parking sensors, standard. So overall, a solid back. To get in the trunk, you still have the button here nicely integrated. So we'll go ahead and push it. It opens up. Hydraulic, so not automatic really, but one touch up. You have solid hinges here. Actually, oh, I thought this wraps around. It doesn't wrap around. I wish that they did this in the Accords too, just looks clean, but that's what it is. This is exactly how my Accord is. With this, the reason I say my Accord is just because I own one, obviously. But if you're comparing this with an Accord, I'm trying to give you the comparison here as to what you're getting that is similar to the Accord if you are comparing these two cars or are going to compare. The cargo space in this is about 13, give or take, cubic feet. The Accord is 16 there, so obviously Accord is going to be bigger in space when it comes to both cargo and passenger volume. We'll talk about the passenger volume too, because the Accord gives you about 105 cubic feet of space for the passengers. The Acura gives you 93, so this will be a little tight on space. But you choose in terms of styling, the driving dynamics versus the space. Totally up to you. Here in the trunk, nothing really to mention because there is no spare tire. So even though this is not a hybrid trim level, but there is no spare tire, you have a fix-a-flat kit and then the funnel for your capless fuel. Here's how the trunk looks, a 60-40 split standard. You will pull this and then they will pull down when you go around. To shut the trunk, there is no button, though this is A-SPEC, though this is at $50,000, there is no button to shut it. There is a grab handle just like the Honda Accord, and then you shut it like so. As we go in to the front, the driver's side, to access it's dead easy. I have the key fob here, so I'll show you folks that. It's rather substantial. I like it. This is how it looks. You've got lock, unlock, and the trunk with the panic there. And then we go inside. Before we do, let's take a look at the door panel. It looks solid. I like it. This car is equipped with the ELS sound system, so it's got 16 speakers and what have you. The door panel itself, you've got injection molded plastic up here. You don't have any suede in the TLX A-SPEC as you do in the RDX. This is leatherette. This is leather. One touch up, down for all. I am sorry, I miscoded that this one has power folding. It doesn't. It doesn't. This is all the more reasons I'm really enjoying this one, this particular demo, because it shows me that, hey, my Accord has better options for cheaper price tag, and I am still happy driving that refined Honda Accord compared to mine. Anyways, I just get excited. I'm sorry. Your trunk releases here. ELS sound system. I do like how the speakers look. 2-person memory seat. The door panel itself looks solid, sounds solid. I do like it. As we climb inside, this is the A-SPEC. You get the sporty pedals, and your dead pedal is also aluminum coated there, so that is nice. Seats. This is going to be Milano with the ultra suede insertion there. Both driver and passenger will be powered along with the lumbar support. As we get inside, before we do, there are a few blank switches, so you can tell that you've paid $50,000 thinking, hey, I'm getting, but then again, really, I'm going to stop comparing it to the Accord. Actually, don't quote me on it because I just might as we go inside. But even at $50,000, there's still some missing things. I'm assuming, you know, it could be power folding, it could be whatever the case may be, but power folding would typically go on the door. Anyways, you have your standard controls here for the sensing, and then you have your, this one doesn't have HUD, so the heads-up display isn't there. But overall, the interior itself, it looks nice. I like it. I you know how it is. But there are some elements that I don't really like. You have the kick plate. As we go inside of the car, there are some elements that will make you, you know, think this car is due for a refresh. Your engine button is placed here. Foot on the pedal, push that down. This one still has manual tilt and telescopic. Does it? Yeah, so it's all manual. Nice, good adjustments, but it's manual there. Your gauge cluster is also going to be mostly analog with a little screen in the middle that gives you the information as you see, and other notifications such as door open, close, this, that, but everything else is going to be analog. If this doesn't bother you in today's day and age that you don't want or care for a digital, that's fine. This does the job exactly like so, and it's okay. Overall, if we're looking at the interior, very similar to any Acura you will sit in for this day and age. They look identical, big, small, sedan, or SUV. Steering, this is flat bottom, which I do like. You've got the paddle shifters here. You have very solid feeling wiper stalks and your indicator stalks. The car also doesn't have any, outside of blind spot monitoring system, I don't think this one has it. I don't see it on the mirror. So this one's not equipped with that, I suppose, or maybe it does. I just can't see it. We'll see on the sticker. But it doesn't have lane watch assist or anything like that, even though this is sharing, some of the older elements. You have no heated steering on this car, because if it was, then it would sit here. So if you go, let's say, for the Advance, or if you go for the higher trim levels, then you might get that. But your standard multimedia controls here, and then your cruise control here. Let's actually try to see if this one moves here. So yeah, this one's, I think it's responsive, at least in comparison to how the RDX was. But here is your multimedia, or the infotainment screen, obviously pushed so far back. They justify that by saying the way this is positioned. We don't really care to have a touchscreen, but I think in today's day and age, you don't need this much space because you're not really going to put anything. You won't really put your keys or things like that here. So this space could be utilized by bringing the screen forward, making it bigger rather, and also touch accessible. Graphics on this are not super crisp for 2024. You could see the map there too. It looks like a Garmin from 2011. This is, again, going to only be accessible through the true touchpad here. Like I say, I do like how truly touchpaddy it is because it's very fast, quick moving, but overall, it isn't the best infotainment system in the lineup, I would say, or just in general. Down below, lots of buttons. You've got almost everything. I'm just so glad I don't see a CD player because I was like, oh my God, I might end up seeing a CD player here. Heated and ventilated seats. Your mode is here for driving, or it gives you 4, I believe. So you've got your, 3. Normal, comfort, and sport, no individual, unlike the Accord. Here's the comparison again. And then you have the Acura shift button here. If we put this car into reverse to check out the parking, the backup, car does not have 360. Car does not have the front-facing camera. It is trajectory, but you have a very small camera. And to switch the angles, you got to use the trackpad. You cannot just simply do that. Too much work for things that have now gone back to being standard as 1 touch, and 2, being able to switch the angles right from there. So apart from that, it's a very clean and solid looking interior. So that is a good thing here. There is some quality issue I'm noticing, but there's also something in the back that I want to show you folks. But what I do like is that it has the home link here, so that's nice. You do not get that standard on the Hondas anymore, at least not on the CRVs and Accords. Up top, you have your SOS, your, this is LED, so that's good. Your sunglasses, and then a regular size sunroof, which is okay, I suppose. And then leather here, no sueding there. No suede anywhere except the seat inserts in the middle. And then here you open the cup holder. It does not have it like the RDX where there is like a compartment and then there is something. So this is rather usable. And then obviously the passenger door panel, you have the ELS sound system there. Other than that, nothing else to mention as we exit. But before we do, you folks have seen this in 2 cars now, 3 cars already from the Acura. So very standard configuration. 1 small, 1 large, and you have a wireless charger. I do like Acura's position, TLX's position, because it naturally, holds it by bigger grippers. So I don't know, they probably didn't think this through. They just happened to place it in and it happened to work out for them. In the entire Honda lineup, otherwise their wireless chargers are rather useless. One thing that you'll notice as I open this, the power is here, but it's only USB-A's and not USB-C's. So it tells you that this car isn't the most up-to-date car for 2024. And you have an aux female. Look at that. And then you have your 12-volt for chapstick, I suppose. And then it's felt, so that's nice. But this is the front of the car in its full glory. As we exit the front, I'm going to turn the car off from here. And as we exit, you can take a look at it. Chime is nice. It's not the same as Honda. Or I don't recall it being the same as Honda. So it was supposed to work. It didn't work. There we go. I don't know if this car is like a lemon or what, but there are some things that I will show you guys. Back door panel, standard, no two-tone or anything like that. This is not metal. And then you have the EOS sound system here. And then as we go in, you will see the cargo space I already talked about. This car has 93 cubic feet of passenger volume as opposed to 105 in its cousin, which is the Accord. As we go into the back, rather tight. The seat might be pushed up. Actually, let me move over into this side so you kind of get, if someone's not like 6 foot, how much space will you get? So this one I would say is rather set to maybe my height, which is like 5'9". Decent space. I'm not gonna zonk it. It's small, yes. By numbers, it is small because the the passenger volume. This car has about 93 versus the Accord, which is 106. But hey, it's okay. It feels fine. It's not that bad. You get air. You do not get any power. Absolutely no USB-C ports anywhere in the back. So that is the dated feel there. Matte pockets on both sides. So hey, you don't get any USB-Cs, but you get 2 matte pockets. You don't get that in the Accord because you get 2 USB-Cs, but that's it. So here you get the cup holders and then this little thing. Why are you going to put your phone here if you really don't have any charging ports anywhere? But this, you have this. No through loading, of course. You have the 60-40 split. That's your 60 split from there on, and where I'm sitting is the 40 split. One thing I wanted to show you folks is I was trying to turn the map lights on. They're not turning on. I tried doing it with the car turn on and off. The front does, the rears don't. So here's a QA for that. And then you've got the speakers up here right above your head with a 16 speakers audio there. But overall, and then you have that quarter window there. Overall, this is how the back looks. The car, you know, I, as an owner of its cousin, now comparing this and what I paid for that, I have no regrets whatsoever, to be very honest. But you folks decide, hey, it's totally up to you. It's your money. Injection molded, but more plastic than injection. So it sounds scratchy, and then you have the cup holders here as we climb out of the back of the car. I will shut the car and we'll talk about the price, actually, and the price sits in the other, on the other window. So let's talk about that. Like I said, this one is the 2023, so 24, 23, it's the same. A-SPEC all-wheel drive, $49,000 is the starting price, and then you come down here with destination, and then $51,995. This is the standard equipment on it here. Obviously, I don't expect you folks to read that, but this is what the car is. Now, the final verdict on this car in general and what it is. This is obviously the cousin to the Honda Accord. A lot of people now, especially looking at the 11th gen, talk about that, hey, you should have opted for an Acura for a couple of more $1,000s. You decide based on what I've showed you that if styling and the engine, let's say, is the only thing that you don't want to go into the hybrid. You always need the 272 horsepower as opposed to 204 as a daily. By all means, go for it. If there are things on the inside that you don't care for, be it analog gauge cluster there, be it a smaller screen for the backup camera, be it not having a 360 in this car either, Accords don't, but not having that in the same price point, no touchscreen, no USB-Cs, smaller rear passenger space, the smaller cargo space, things like that. But it's a handsome looking car. You pull up and you park this next to the Accord, this is going to blow people away when it comes to how it looks. It looks beautiful. So again, I say this time and time again, it's your money, it's your decision, it's going to be your daily driver. You decide what best fits your needs, wants, and how you want to spend that money. But just know that between the Accord, where it ends at the Touring, and where the Acura that rather looks nice and not just a basic Acura, which is the the TLX base model, starting at 40, but to make it look nicer like this is, it's 50,000 pre-tax, so you will be around 10,000 to 12,000 of a price difference between the Accord and the TLX. You decide, you choose whatever you want to go with. One thing I can tell you, both are Honda financials. So my assumption is that, let's say if you go to a Honda, you get an interest rate, this, that, you can also come to an Acura, and it would be the same bank, really. So you decide. But I've never worked with Acura in terms of banking, so I don't know. Don't quote me on that. But overall, as we end this, I'm going to give you another 360 here so you can kind of see, pick and choose design-wise, beautiful car. Now, before testing this out, before doing a review of this car, I was like, should have I gotten a TLX for this price? If I were to get one, it would have been an A-SPEC. I wouldn't have gotten for gone for the base looking kind, no. My answer to myself is no, but you folks let me know. And also wanted to kind of know that, you know, how do you feel about the TLX right now as it stands, be it the 2023 or be it the 2024, which is essentially the same unless they do the refresh there. So until next time, thank you everybody for watching. I hope this review was somewhat valuable, and I hope that you folks will, if you're watching and haven't subscribed, please subscribe so I can bring more content and we can make this more of a conversational review based on, you know, the feedback, the comments, and the engagement that comes through. Again, a great shout out to Westmont Acura here, McGrath Acura of Westmont off of Ogden here in the Chicagoland area. Come check these folks out and at least give, you know, Acura a chance if you're looking at Hondas too, just so you can compare what you're getting. And or if you're looking at Lexuses, do check out the Acura as well, so you have a better buying experience in terms of what the competition is offering and what you are wanting to buy. Until next time, take care, everybody.